So, it's been a while since I made a video like this, but I am now 3 months off of work due to this coronavirus pandemic. It's pissing with rain outside, and I've nothing better to do, so I decided that I'll make a little video on the current collection of snakes. Although, for those snake lovers and Latin speakers that watch this video, I will be providing all the scientific names to each animal. I will be butchering them, so I do apologise in advance. It's hard enough to speak English with a Scottish accent, never mind Latin. So, the first animal we have here is Lampropeltis splendida, or more commonly known as the desert king snake. These guys are native to the southern states of North America, primarily Texas and New Mexico. In the wild, desert king snakes primarily eat other rodents, however are frequent snake eaters as well, and due to where in North America they tend to be native to, they also cohabit with venomous snakes as well, such as rattlesnakes. And something that is quite interesting that these animals had developed over time is an immunity, not just desert king snakes, but quite, if not all king snakes, the immunity to the immunity to rattlesnake venom. These guys are primarily a beginner to intermediate snake. They look fantastic. They eat very, very well, and sometimes a bit too well. I have been bitten quite a few times by this guy due to being mistaken for food, which is totally fine. You have a cat, you're going to get scratched. However, due to that, this is why they kind of fall in between the beginner and intermediate category, because they do frequently mistake. They will frequently mistake your fingers for food. However, they are very, very self-efficient when it comes to eating. Fully grown, these guys don't get too big, between 3 to 4 feet fully grown. In captivity, some have made it far above that, up to 7 feet sometimes, but they tend to stay around about the 4 to 5 foot span. So this male I've had for going on about 6 years now. He was one of the first snakes I ever owned. I have very rarely had feeding problems with them, shedding problems with them. Absolutely fantastic to keep, but like I say, if your fingers are in the viv at the same time as food is, he will not mistake, or he will mistake your fingers for food frequently. And sometimes when there is no food in the viv, he will also just try and take a little munch of your fingers. They are absolutely fantastic looking animals, great looking snakes. One of my favourite types of snakes, king snakes. As you see later, as I did have more than just the two, but I'm down to 2 just now, unfortunately. One has recently passed away, my Californian king snake, but I do have another king snake in the collection. So, when I said originally I was going to butcher some of these, scientific names, this is exactly what I meant. So I'll apologise in advance. So this is Alatha Turanoris calicianus, also more commonly known as the Vietnamese blue beauty or the blue beauty snake. Now I say that very, very lightly. To give you the sort of background story on this animal, about 2 years ago or so, I picked her up from the Doncaster Reptile Expo. I primarily went down for this animal, not knowing that this animal was here, but I knew that I was pretty confident that someone would have this animal down there. So sure enough, I popped down and managed to find her. Now, the reason why she doesn't look overly blue, and she is in shed at the moment, but the reason why she doesn't look overly blue at the moment is because I am pretty convinced I was sold a different animal. So what this actually looks a lot more like is the more common species of the Tenuris, which is the Taiwanese beauty, not the Vietnamese beauty, also known as the green beauty snake. Now, to me, I love these animals anyway, and as you'll see a bit further in the video, originally a couple of years ago I was all about king snakes, and I have now developed a love for rat snakes. So I do have quite a few of those. These guys are obviously indigenous to Vietnam or Taiwan, regardless, somewhere in East Asia. They are quite big snakes, fully grown, some females getting past 9 feet. She is quite nippy at times, primarily in defence. She has a relatively strong feeding response, but these slightest little inconveniences will put her off her food. So you always need to be very, very careful. This is more of an intermediate animal than a beginner, again due to the size that they get and the temperament they can have as well. In the wild, these guys' main diet is rodents, but they are semi-arboreal, so they do tend to climb quite a bit, and they tend to hide out in caves quite a bit as well. So bats are also in the diet and some birds, but their main diet is rodents in general. So a little bit closer, as you can see, as she got older, she became a little bit more green and a hell of a lot less blue, which makes me think I may have been sold a different snake. I'm pretty convinced I was sold a different snake. If you see, I'll pop a little picture of a Vietnamese blue beauty up just now, and you can sort of see the difference. The Taiwanese beauty, though getting slightly bigger than the Vietnamese, is a hell of a lot less blue and a little bit more green and olive, a little bit more like this girl here. And this guy here is a Aspidistes ramsey, or more commonly known as the Woma Python, the cousin of the black-headed python. Great looking animals, brilliant feeders. They are endemic to Australia, as are the black-headed pythons. This guy is about fully grown, very, very soft nature, unless there's food anywhere near him. A couple of years ago I made a video of me deliberately getting bitten by a snake, and this was the snake. He is incredibly food orientated whenever in his viv and outside his viv, hence why I'm being rather careful with my hands, because I don't want the rest of this video to be me attempting to get this guy off my arm. He is an absolutely lovely specimen, fully grown, between 3 to 5 feet. Some get a little bit larger, depending on what they eat. Obviously, in the outback, they will primarily feed on rodents, but they have been partial to the odd wallaby here or there. Overall, lovely gentle snake when you've got him out for a little bit longer. As you can see now, he's sort of calming down. He's a little bit more interested in what's going on in the camera as opposed to what's going on in my arm. But I suppose the longer he gets comfortable on my arm, the more likely he is to bite me. So I've had this guy here for about 3 years. I got him when he was around about 1.5 years old. I think he was on maybe medium mice. He's now on medium rats. Absolutely, like I say, loves his grub, and he does not care if it's your arm or if it's a mouse. He will have a go at it. Obviously, being quite a low humidity snake, you do need to keep an eye on them when they shed their skin, just making sure that everything has been shed, including their eye caps. I have had frequent eye cap problems with this guy, but once he's out the viv, he's reasonably gentle. You can sort of ease his head into your palm and slowly pull it off, obviously using a little bit of water and a cotton bud. Again, I would say a bit more of an intermediate snake, primarily because they are a little bit more prone to things like retained shed, but again, another lovely looking snake. So this next guy is a Lamprepeltis Gatul Negrita. also known as the Mexican black king snake. These guys, just like the desert king snake, are snake-eating snakes. Surprisingly enough, these guys here are endemic to obviously Mexico, but also the southern states of North America, meaning that they do cohabit with desert king snakes as well. There have been instances where they have interbred in the wild, causing a very, very dark looking desert king snake. Obviously, you can see this guy here, he's a male, he's about fully grown. Fully grown, these guys get between 3 and 4 feet. This guy's probably around about 2.5, 3 feet. I got this guy originally from a friend. He was about 1.5 years when I got him. He was significantly smaller than this at the moment, but I did hope that he would get a little bit bigger. But what he doesn't have in size, he certainly makes up with attitude. This is by far the most, and as much as it doesn't look like it just now, the most aggressive animal, or the most cage defensive snake I've got. He absolutely loves his grub. I don't think I've ever had an instance where he has went off his food. When I originally got him when he was a lot smaller, he did have a habit of musking, meaning that he would essentially pee on me anytime I picked him up, which is fantastic, and smells great. Obviously, like all the other snakes I've shown you recently, these guys are non-venomous, but like the desert king snake, they are immune to the rattlesnake venom, as of course they do share the same environment, cohabit with rattlesnakes, and because they're a snake-eating snake, they are on the menu. In recent years, these guys have become a little bit rarer in the pet trade, a lot harder to get. So you can see this guy here is completely jet black. Even his eyes are completely jet black. Again, a bit more of a beginner to intermediate snake. They are great feeders, but they will mistake your hands for food frequently. So if you don't want to get bitten, maybe stay away from these guys. But to be honest, a snake this small biting you isn't exactly anything to worry about. There is another completely jet black snake, or almost completely jet black snake in the pet trade known as the indigo snake, that gets significantly bigger than the Mexican black king snake and is significantly more expensive and rarer. It's certainly on the list of snakes to get. However, finding one in this country or close by is very, very difficult. So, going from one colour to another, this is a completely white snake. This is a Elaphia obsoleta lentimera, or more commonly known as the Texas rat snake. This specific animal though is a leucistic Texas rat snake. So it's a morph, or a genetic morph of the wild type of the Texas rat snake. So I will pop a little picture up on the screen of what a wild Texas rat snake looks like, and you'll see there is quite a noticeable difference. This specific animal is lacking all of the pattern. However, as you can see by its eyes, it is not an albino. So I got this girl from the exact same person I originally got the Mexican black king snake from, and obviously the 3 years ago she was significantly smaller. So these guys here are endemic to obviously Texas and again the southern states of North America. Lovely animals, reasonably good temper, but if they do not want to be bothered, they will let you know. A specific girl absolutely loves her grub. She loves to eat anything that comes close to her mouth, and that includes your hands. Once she's out, she tends to calm down quite a bit. You can see she's very, very alert of what's going on around her, but she is aware that she is no longer being fed. So luckily for me, I don't think I'll get bitten, but famous last words, you never know. So fully grown, these guys can get anywhere between 4 to 6 feet, but there have been some specimens getting well above the 8 feet mark. I would probably say she's close to, if not fully grown now, about 5 foot long. In the wild, these guys primarily feed on rodents, as much as they are around about the same area as the desert king snake and the Mexican black king snake. They are not cannibalistic. They do not eat other snakes. Overall, a bit more of an intermediate animal than a beginner animal, primarily because they can get slightly larger. They do have a little bit more of a temper on them, and they are a bit more prone to being very defensive. But when off handling, they will calm down a reasonable amount. Absolutely gorgeous animal. Entirely different to the wild type. And as you can see, she has, if that'll focus, a lovely, lovely blue eyes. Great animal, gorgeous colours, and just a really different thing to have in the collection. So this guy here is a Netrodon nasicus, or more commonly known as the Western Hognose snake. We've had this guy for quite a number of years. Surprisingly enough, he is completely fully grown, and this is the first venomous snake on the list. So we've had this guy here for about 3 or 4 years now. We bought him the same time. We got him the same time as the Woma Python, but he has not grown much. He's a very, very fussy feeder, and for that reason, I would highly suggest against. Keeping these snakes if you're not entirely sure what you're doing. Obviously, they are mildly venomous. The venom is no worse than a bee sting. However, it still sucks. No one wants to get stung by a bee. They have 2 defense strategies, these animals, well, 3. One is they will headbutt you. The second is they will bite you. Of course, they are still a snake. But the third is quite comical. They will play dead. They'll roll into their backs, showing their rather dark stomach, as you can see. And when they do so, they will they'll open their mouths and stick their tongue out, making them look dead. Quite a comical little animal. But this guy here is fully grown at this size. So if he was a female, he would be significantly bigger. The size difference between the two, between the females and males, is significantly larger. But I am going to pop him back now because he does seem to be rather interested in food, and I don't want that food to be my fingers. So this guy here is a Eupropophis mandarinus, also known as the Mandarin Rat Snake. These guys are endemic to all parts of Asia. So in the wild, being a burrowing snake, these guys do tend to primarily hunt. These guys do primarily tend to hunt small rodents, small burrowing rodents like mice and shrews. But they have been known to go after amphibians, frogs, obviously, and some insects. Being a reasonably small snake, there aren't large rodents or birds really on the menu for these little guys, so they will tend to take anything they can get. And obviously, being a burrowing snake, there does tend to be a lot of amphibians and such in their area. We got this guy. This is another one we got at Doncaster at the expo. Surprisingly enough, hasn't grown much since then, and that was 2 years ago. Being a burrowing snake, you want to give them quite a lot of burrowable substrate that is capable of holding quite high humidity. They also aren't partial to very high temperatures, like most other snakes. So usually if you have a room full of snakes and snake tips like I do, just the heat of the room is enough. It's also a good idea with these guys to have moss in the viv with them, just so it can hold and release humidity consistently. This guy, we have had intermittent problems with feeding. She has only recently started to lay feed, to strike feed. For the past 2 years she has only been lay feeding. So these guys, they look absolutely fantastic with their yellow and black and grey banding. However, they are a bit more in the intermediate category because, again, they are slightly harder to keep due to their humidity and temperature requirements, and because they are quite picky eaters as well. You do need to know what to do when trying to feed these guys. But yeah, she is an absolutely fantastic looking animal. So next up, we have by far my most dangerous snake. This is a Hydromascus, Hydronastus gigas, or also more commonly known as the false water cobra or South American water cobra. Now, these guys can reach anywhere between 6 to 10 feet long. She could be considered a sub-adult at the moment, so very similar to the Hognose, these guys are also rear fang venomous. However, unlike the Hognose, her venom is significantly more potent. It's been said that these guys have venom as potent as a southern Pacific rattlesnake, which is why I'm trying to keep her as far away as possible from my face. And to be honest, it's probably a really dumb idea that I'm handling her with my hands, but she is rear fang venomous, which means it is difficult for her to bite me and get the venom in. However, if she does, it's to hospital for me, most likely. Unlike the name suggests, these guys are not elapids, they are not full cobras, they are venomous colubrids. These guys are certainly not intermediate or beginner animals. They are a lot more harder to keep. Their husbandry is reasonably easy, but they do need very, very high humidity levels. However, you also need to be incredibly careful, as they do show their feeding response in an entirely different way from most other colubrids. We've had her for about 2 years now, and as you can see, I have taken the option to wear a jumper with this one, because if she does bite me, hopefully it's on the arms and not the hands. So she's finally calmed down now. So yeah, false water cobra, indigenous to Brazil. These guys can reach anywhere between 6 to 10 feet. She could still be considered a sub-adult at the moment. She is only about 3.5, and she is about 7 feet at the moment. By far the biggest snake in the collection, and also the hardest to handle. She always likes to be stable, but she is certainly not classed as a beginner or intermediate snake, due to their body language and feeding response being entirely different to most other snakes, because obviously they are, how they kill their prey is venomation and not constriction. It is a little bit harder to predict when this animal is going to strike. She is incredibly food orientated, and because of that you do need to be incredibly careful when taking the animal out. In the wild they will tend to eat amphibians, fish, rodents and other snakes, and they are absolutely glorious animals. Husbandry for an animal such as this is slightly different, because she does require an incredibly high amount of humidity. Temperatures can fluctuate, but that humidity you want to keep as high as possible. They do swim quite a bit in the wild, so it's always good to try and, if you can't offer her something to swim in her viv, it is good to offer a wee swim in the bath every so often. They do enjoy that. But they are truly incredible animals. But certainly an animal you do have to treat with respect and be as careful as possible with. It's probably a rather stupid idea of me to be handling this animal just now without gloves on, or really without a hook. But she seems to be okay just now. I don't know, famous last words again as she comes from her face. But she is an absolutely gorgeous specimen of a snake. So next up we have Pitophis caitna for sale, also known as the bull snake. These guys are cousins to the pine snake and the gopher snake. These guys here are primarily found in the southern states of North America. They can get anywhere between 4 to 7 feet. Some species in captivity were found to get up to as large as 9 feet, sometimes 10. Is quite interesting. As you can see by their scales, if I can get us to focus, they have very rough very rough scales. These are called keel scales, and the pattern is very reminiscent of the rattlesnakes that they cohabit with. The reason why this is because they try and fool any potential predators into thinking that they are indeed a rattlesnake. Now, the one thing that they are missing, I'll show you, one thing they are missing is a rattle at the end of their tail. But they can emulate the sound of a rattlesnake. You might be able to hear it there as he breathes. But what they've developed is pine snakes, bull snakes and gopher snakes have developed a small flap at the back of their throat. And when they exhale air through that, it sounds like a rattlesnake. So not only do these animals look similar to a rattlesnake, but they sound similar to a rattlesnake as well. So most predators will just leave them alone. This guy I've had for about 6 years now, 6 or 7 years, and he does have quite a hard time of differentiating between my hands and food. Anything that goes into his viv, he will consider grub. He will eat it, or try to. But once out his viv, like most of the snakes, he becomes a little bit more placid. He is quite loud, obviously, because he has that flap at the back of his throat, so he does like to huff and puff. But they are absolutely gorgeous snakes. The power these animals have is absolutely immense. Like most colubrids, they do constrict to kill their food, but these guys don't just grab and pull in. These animals almost punch with their mouths, that they hit that hard. They go completely through the prey, smack it against the closest possible object, and then they'll constrict it. They're absolutely fantastic looking animals, but they are some of the grumpiest snakes you could ever own. Again, a bit more of an intermediate snake, not due to husbandry or feeding. They will eat damn near anything, including your fingers. But that is one of the reasons why it is a bit more of an intermediate snake, is they are a little bit harder to handle. They will bite. If you have one of these animals, be prepared to get bitten on the week, every week. But they are fantastic looking snakes. So this guy is a Morelia spilota chinea, or more commonly known as a jungle carpet python. These guys are endemic to Australia, primarily Queensland, and as the name suggests, they do primarily live up in the trees. I've had this guy now for about 1.5 years. She's about 2 years old just now. She is a reasonably small carpet python. Fully grown, these guys can get anywhere between 5 to 8.5, 9 feet. So as you can see, she is a reasonably long snake. These guys do enjoy a little bit of climbing. They are semi-arboreal. So these guys will get anywhere between 5 to 9 feet long. So in the wild, these guys their diet will primarily consist of rodents, just like the majority of other snakes in the list. These snakes have also been known to take on birds and eat bird eggs as well. Obviously, being semi-arboreal, they will find the odd nest here and there. So if you're in the market for a medium-sized python, these guys are absolutely fantastic. They don't get too large, like I say, 9 feet, fully grown at the most. They are lovely looking snakes. They have a great character, and they just look fantastic. She feeds at the moment on large rhino rats. She will move up, of course. She is still reasonably young as well, so once she gets to around about 3 or 4 years old, she'll start to fatten out a little bit more. But she looks absolutely fantastic. Next up, we have a Gonosoma balengri, also known as the Rhino Rat Snake or Rhinoceros Rat Snake. As you can tell by the get our side on, as you can tell by the horn on the end of her nose. These are by far my favourite snakes. So these guys come from Vietnam and China. They are subtropical rainforest dwellers. They are semi-arboreal, so they love a good climb, and because they are from subtropical rainforests, they have quite high humidity requirements. As you can tell, she loves to climb. Another thing she loves to do as well is she loves to bite. This is my female. I also have a male. I'm planning on breeding these guys at some point soon, but at the moment I'll show you in a second why that's not a possibility just yet, because my male is slightly smaller than my female. So here is my male. As you can see, he's much smaller. He's also significantly more defensive and significantly more aggressive. So he's got wee man syndrome. But they are absolutely lovely animals. I hope to be breeding these guys at some point next year, but at the moment he is a little bit too small, and because they are both prolific feeders, I do not want to have to try and separate these two if one decides to try and eat the other. Now, like I said before, these are by far my favourite species of snake. So it took me 5 years to finally get one of these guys. And I've been looking for 5 years constantly. And finally a breeder down south popped up, and I got my female. And about 2 years ago, a friend of mine went down to England and picked up this guy here. So my female, she's around 5 years old. My male, he's only around 3 at the moment. I'm going to give him another year of growth, and then we will try and see if they will breed together. They are utterly gorgeous animals, and as you can tell, they're also incredibly inquisitive. So the little horn on the end of their nose there, it isn't hard, it's rather soft, and they do not care about it in the slightest. Whenever there's food in the go, they are squishing their heads right up against the glass and bending it back. Oh, she had a go at the camera. He had a go at the camera. But yeah, they will squish their faces up against the glass and bend the thing backwards, just waiting for something to eat. So in regards to how these animals use the horn at the end of their nose, there has been a couple of suggestions that they use it quite similar to the way anglerfish use their appendage, and it's to make prey think that it's some sort of insect or worm that they can come after. These guys in the wild will frequently eat rodents, they'll eat birds, eggs. Again, obviously being semi-arboreal, they will be up in the trees, so birds do tend to be a large part of their diet. And birds are not the easiest thing to catch, so you would need something like a lure of sorts. Again, it's not been confirmed that's exactly what it's used for, but it would make sense. So thanks very much for watching my video. I do apologise for how much I have butchered some of those scientific names, but yeah, there's my collection. Thanks for watching.